All right, last week we got a little bit of hot with hot sauce, and it's time for another POS Uncensored. I'm Nate Manahan, but before we go any further, I want to say this. We could have a lot of hosts of the POS Uncensored show, but we make sure we go out and get the chief POS pro because we don't want to mess around with having anyone other than the best. And I just realized that I didn't assign him and get him out of the green room, so let's make sure we do that. Helps you on the pre-show. I do that. There is Mr. Matt Proctor on the right-hand side of the screen, based out of Indianapolis, Indiana, loving the dream. How are things, Mr. Proctor? Wearing the Indiana, beat my Wolverines by 1 on Sunday. I am not happy about that. I am repping, as those who watched the Office Hours live earlier today, my Pike sweatshirt. My son swims in sectional at Brownsburg High School. If you guys want to come watch, 6 o'clock tonight. I get there 5. Doors will be open early because you don't get a seat if you're not there by like 5:15. You can tell I'm already in that mode, already thinking, got to get out to Brownsburg by 5.
Geared up, Dad. Geared up, Dad. I like it.
I've made a mistake in my life multiple times of showing up like 5:45 for a 6 o'clock event, and then I'm standing in the hallway trying to find a spot to watch my kids swim. So tip from a dad who's now had 3 swimmers, may have the 4th. We'll see if my 4th kid swims. But Matt, how are you? I know your wife was a swimmer at Pike High School. So ding, ding,
right.
ding.
She went to state and swimming. She was a good swimmer.
So,
butterflies, not easy.
Not easy. Hey, and my son tonight's preliminary. But my son is doing the 100 fly. So that's one of his main events, 100 fly, and I am in the medley relay. So it's going to be a fun night. But
that was her main event was 100 fly. There you go. Small world. So
now to you. Last week, we're going to be talking, because after you have a little hot sauce, sometimes you need a mint, a palate cleanser. I don't know if that totally works, but that's what I'm going with. So we're talking Mynt POS today after hot sauce last week. But Matt wanted to highlight a couple things of responses we've had for hot sauce POS. And if you're here live and you're asking questions, do it through the chat underneath. I see a couple already coming in, so I'll look at those. But if you're not here live, you can always reach out to partners@papertech.com or the POS sales at paymentshub.com and get a hold of the POS Pros team. But let's start with a few things, a recap of last week, the hot sauce promo, and a few things that people need to know that you wanted to bring up, Matt.
Yes. So I wanted to clarify a few things because I think there was some confusion last week about this hot sauce promotion and really what it entails. So we are providing 3 full hot sauce POS stations, all right, at no cost up front, no shipping. It is $69.99 a month per station. That's not $69.99 for all 3. So per station, $69.99 a month for the licensing. And then that's it. If they want any additionals, kitchen printers, barcode scanner, things like that, it's an additional cost where they'll purchase that up front. We do not have the handhelds ready at this point with hot sauce. They were still in beta testing. I have a merchant today, actually at 4:30 Eastern, doing some more testing and trying to go live. Okay, so these are not ready at all. If you talk to anyone from my team, they'll tell you the same thing. Okay, I don't want you to misconstrue that to merchants or oversell because you think you can get handhelds along with the promotion for hot sauce. The hot sauce is just for the 3 stations. Once we have the handhelds in the next 30 days, 60 days, as it's all ready to go through EPX, absolutely, we will let all the agents know and have them ready. I want to make sure everyone's clear with that. We're not doing order pay at the table with a device right now. They can always do a QR code at every table and scan it with their phones and ring up and do orders. Just not with the device.
Yeah. And what I will make a commitment is as soon as Matt says it's ready, we'll put out a bulk email making sure everybody knows, 1, continuing to tell you about our promotion, and 2, that the handhelds are available for an additional cost. And we'll put some of that out too. It just is helpful to know it's coming. And it's not coming in 2029. It's coming hopefully, sooner rather than later. I'm not going to use any date other than 2029 because hopefully I'm right that it's be here before 2029.
Yes, definitely. And I apologize too. It's deceiving because some of the marketing that hot sauce released does have the A920 listed. And that's because hot sauce already used it. If you called hot sauce right now and said, I want to use A920, they'd say, sure. But that's only on their TSYS platform. So we're getting this converted to work through EPX Direct. That's what the holdup has been in getting that integration complete. So don't get confused thinking hot sauce told me they got handhelds. I need 4 of them. They're not ready yet, but we'll let you know.
All right. Now For a little different change of discussion, we're going to talk Mynt. And Mynt is a POS that we've had around for a lot of years. I remember first seeing it, man, it's probably been 6 or 7 years at some of the acquiring shows. And we've gone through different various relationships with Mynt, but now Mynt is part of the fold at the POS Pros and part of the PayProtect family. Matt, why don't you give us a basic overview? I'll even give you your first slide here. Let me make sure I'm over there. And a little bit of how Mynt fits into the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So we made it official with our partnership in Mint. I think it was 13 months ago was when we really started testing them and bringing them on board. And really, that's because they increased everything in their system, the value of it, all the programming. They were acquired by a manufacturing company, which is great. That's why we can offer things like you see on the screen here, the lifetime warranty. And since they were acquired, they sunk a lot of money in development, product development, software features, and different additions that, frankly, we just didn't have 13 months ago. We didn't have with Hot Sauce or Paradise or other systems. And that's where kind of Mynt fits. For those of you who might have seen Mynt, they were actually built for Quiznos subs originally. And so they're still in about 300 or so Quiznos subs throughout the country. So they do enterprising extremely well. For those of you who know POS, a lot of systems do not do enterprising at all. That means I've got multiple locations. I can have one dashboard login, see all those different locations, what they're doing. Phenomenal for franchises. And that's really been a big thing for us. USA-based support. They have 2 offices, one in the state of Washington, one in Jersey. So they cover East and West Coast extremely well. All right. So, and this is a hybrid system. You will not hear me talk about that too often because we don't run into it too often. So what I mean by that is you've all heard me talk about the difference between a cloud-based POS and a software. This is a software system running on Windows with nice big 15-inch screens, but has full cloud access to everything. So yes, your merchants can sit on the beach and quickly pull up on their tablet or on their phone and add a button on their POS. They want to change something. They can even have access to go in and see what's happening right now in their restaurant and see what tables are being rung up, things like that. That is somewhat unique. There are a lot of point of sale systems that cannot do that at all. So go ahead, Nate. Let's go to the next slide.
All right, let's go to the next slide. Helps if I get over there. There we go. So basic complete package. Let's talk about what the hardware and the onboarding looks like.
Yep, and actually, I just had a meeting on Monday with my Mint guys. We're actually adjusting this in the near future, but currently, this is what it looks like. It's a great piece of hardware. It does have that receipt printer built right in, and obviously, all that's tested and ready to go before it gets sent out. They'll also get a thermal printer. We'll send them an EMV chip reader as well. If they want to do customer-facing screen, absolutely, they can do that on the other side. There might be a change in hardware by the end of 2023 where basically they're just going to separate that receipt printer. Because as of right now, if something goes wrong with that printer, we're shipping out a whole new unit, whole new screen, everything because they're connected, which we really haven't had a problem with that. But moving forward, they think it might be better just to separate the two. If there is an issue with either just the screen, just the printer, it can be replaced easier. All right. But they include everything you see right here. They're going to program everything. We send in a menu, a drink list, employee list, floor plan. The more information we can get, the better. So when we place this order with our Mynt team and the implementation team, they're building it right away. So when they receive that hardware, it's ready to go, and they can work through the menu review with them, scheduling what day they're going to do installation, software training. It is done remotely. Okay, they can remotely log into the Mynt so they can see what's happening. They can discuss that with them. But it is done remotely. Most POS systems do that now since COVID. But they can schedule as many different trainings as needed. And like I said, 24/7 tech support with a lifetime warranty.
All right, and next, coming on up.
I'm
going to tie this right in. Yep, I'm going to tie this into a question right in. Keith Page he jumped in before we even started really talking, asking, is a Mynt an excellent? And I love that we misspell Mint. It's not your thing, Keith. It's everybody's thing. They threw us under the bus by using that Y. But hey, they got the domain, I guess. Is Mynt an excellent option for pizza shops, mom and pop types? If not, who? And I think that will tie into a little bit of what you're about to talk here too.
Yeah, 100%, Keith. 100%. They do pizza extremely well. Left half, right half ordering. We can even use a caller ID if we need to. They can track drivers as well. So simple, easy to use. And you said, if not, who else? We've got 2 other systems that are great for that too. Hot Sauce does pizza phenomenally well. So does Quick POS. We'll talk about Quick another time. But yes, Mynt does that really well. This is a restaurant F&B software. Okay, when I say F&B, I mean everything. QSR, quick service environment, FSR, full service environment. Okay, they do it all. Now, I kept light retail up here because they can do that hybrid model. It's not a full retail system where you're putting in a liquor store, grocery environment necessarily. But for that Cracker Barrel type, where they've got both, or maybe it's an international grocery store that they also have the food right there on the side. Absolutely. Mynt can do that modeling. Okay. So one thing we are working on, we're finalizing the bar tab piece. So right now we're still utilizing another one of our systems for true bars that need tab capabilities and pre-auth. Excuse me. That's not on the Mynt side. That's on the EPX side. That's something we're working out internally to get that resolved, to be able to pre-auth the bar tabs with Mynt. So just think, food and beverage, if they happen to do a little bit of retail, that's not a problem either.
And because I threw Keith under the bus, he said that was his own play on words. I was just playing with it. But Matt, and one of the things to know, that's why the POS Pros team is there to help you. There's so many little nuances that may make one system better for another. We have multiple systems to do pizza, multiple systems to do bar tab and things like that. We just want to walk through that system, make you aware of what options and opportunities are out there. Next up with Mynt, let me get over here and give you the next slide. Well, there you go.
Speaking of Nate, that's one of the worst things you can do, guys, for anyone who's listening to this, is don't pre-sell a system too much, especially if you don't know if it's the exact right fit. That's where you get us involved. Because like you said, those little nuances, little differences between each system, they might ask for a very specific feature, but you've already pre-sold them all on Hot Sauce or Mynt or whatever system it might be. And it turns out it doesn't do that. And then we're working backwards. And we're like, well, no, that's not the right thing. We don't want you guys to look bad. We want the merchant to be taken care of. And so we need to get involved so we can help you guys with that.
Yep.
All right. That being said, 2 different software licensing. And this is a great thing for everyone out there. Core and Enterprise. Most POSs now have one licensing fee. That's it. Okay, you get our system at $69.99, whatever it is. Mynt breaks that up based on the merchant. So, for example, a mom and pop that needs 2 stations and a kitchen printer, they don't want online ordering. They don't need any extra bells and whistles. They fall perfectly into that core licensing. And the pricing's phenomenal. It's only $49 for the first license. Then it drops to $39 for each additional. It's hard to find monthly licensing that low out there with a system this robust. You just won't find it. Even Clover now is $39 or $49, whatever they're at. So if you look on the left there, all the normal features, time clock management, clocking in and out. They can have KDS screens instead of the kitchen printers. They can do order pay at the table with iPads. Order at the table with iPads right now. We also are in works right now, beta testing the A920s, but they already work on iPads. So we already have many merchants with Mynt that have a couple stations and a couple iPads they're walking around with. Okay. Now, when they want elevated features to that next level, online ordering, texting capabilities, RMS software, where they can do reservation management, advanced detailed matrix level inventory. Okay, for those of you know what I'm talking about, that is not ever found in a POS. It's a third party normally. Mynt has it. But all of that falls under enterprise licensing. It's still not bad, guys. It's $79 for the first license. And then it drops to $59 after that. That falls right there in the wheelhouse of every other system we're talking about. Okay, so monthly is a very affordable system, but there are a lot of bells and whistles we can open up based on what the merchant actually wants and needs. All right, so perfect slide.
All right. Now, as always with our systems here, somehow we start to make ourselves hungry because we have to use a picture of food. And one of the things I wanted to highlight, Britt, like the fact that this gives you an opportunity, partners, to go after things that are 10, 15, 20 locations. Now, I love our new partners, but I hear this all the time. Well, I know somebody who owns XYZ and it's one location of 50 or 100 or 1,000. Those ones They do have. We have a couple in our portfolio that are hundreds, if not thousands of locations, but they're far and few between, and rarely do they come from an individual agent. But these 10 to 20 or these places, like I just went to an opening yesterday of a local, well, it's a little further up, but Slapfish up in Fishers. They are doing multiple locations here in Indiana. They're a franchise of what out in, I think, California originally, and they came here to Indiana. Now they have, I think, their third location, and they are perfect. Like they all want to be interconnected between those locations, Mint or something like that. That's enterprise really draws it out. Matt, sorry, just interjecting. Let's jump back to the slides. And
you're good. I agree with you, Nate. Picking off the 5 to 12 locations, small, franchises, or the growing franchises, we've got tons of those, and we love that. And then they come back every time. Hey, here we go, next location. We're opening it up. And that's where Mint falls in as absolutely perfect marriage for them to be able to have that master access, or if they want to get their reports through their franchisees that are automatically sent to corporate. Absolutely, it can do that.
Yep. And I think about that. And once they make a decision on the first one, then the ability to make sure they can go enterprise, because that's a great question to ask when you're talking to someone that has only one location. Do you foresee in the near future going to multi-location, going to that second, third, fourth location? Because that is a good question to make sure, so they're not making a change, especially if you put something new, you get them all excited about it, get it down the road, and they're like, oh, but we're going to open our second location in 3 months. Well, this doesn't have any enterprise stuff. You're going to be just ask that question. It's a great question to ask.
Yeah. You don't want to switch POS to a whole different system in like 3 months because you put them in a system that doesn't have enterprising capabilities. So definitely things that we talk about on the demo about the future.
All right, and let's talk a little bit of login.
Yes. So I mentioned this earlier, and I love how they give full remote access to this. So when I log in to even to my remote demo account, if I'm logging in as a merchant to their account, they can actually see this screen that we're showing right here, except it doesn't have that clock in and clock out button on the top right. So that's what they'll see in the store, but their remote access is the same view. That's what's great about it. They can go in, and you don't see this with regular point of sale. Even cloud systems is a separate back office. They can only see the back office. Totally different from the front screen. With Mint, you could do both. Okay, I can click management there on the top and go right to my back office, add buttons, do whatever I want. Or I can actually log in and see exactly what tabs my bartender has open. I can see what tables are ordering right now. This gives permission and access to the owners that if their manager had to leave and there's not a manager on site, they need to go in and give someone else access, or they need to do a void or a comp on a table. They can do that from 100 miles away. You'll not see that with a lot of other systems. All right. So, and it is all permission based. Every employee has different permissions. It's not just at the job level. So the assistant manager can have certain privileges, but the AGM gets more. The head bartender can do certain things that the regular bartender can't do. Okay? Very similar. A lot of POSs do that. Mint does that really well, especially with the multi-locations, where one traveling opening server has access to each location because they travel to different locations, where one other server might only be able to clock in and work at the one. So pretty cool.
All right. Order taking.
There we go. Ordering screen. Simple, easy layout, guys. Obviously, it can be different colors. As you see right here, they can have logos. We get a lot of agents ask about that. They can have pictures and logos. We don't recommend they do that too often because it can really bog down any software, not just Mint. It can be in different languages. And we don't have it here on this picture, but there's a big red line in the middle of the screen. It says training mode. Obviously, they can set up training mode for their new employees. But right above that, it says Mint support. It can say English, Spanish, French, and somebody can clock in and hit Spanish, and boom, everything flips to Spanish. It can print to the kitchen in different languages. Okay? That's a big bonus as well. So I feel this is very user-friendly when you're in here. You can see the categories there at the top. When I select one, boom, it pops up all the items in a simple list view. All the modifiers can be programmed in ahead of time. They can also have the option to click a modify button like we have there on the top on any different screen. Okay, so KDS screens absolutely can show right to the kitchen. They have hostess mode. You will not see that with other POS systems. Okay, everyone's got a floor plan. If you're a full service restaurant, absolutely, you got a floor plan. You can customize that. That's normal. They actually have what's called hostess mode that I can switch over to where my hostess is actually on the POS taking names. It has waitlist management. It has RMS, which is reservation management software built in. I can take reservations on my website. Just like if I paid Open Table or some third party a whole bunch of money, it can have a book here now button that goes right into the POS. I know everyone on Friday night who's coming in, or if we're slammed and we're on a wait, then guess what? If I have their phone number, which I'm taking it right then as they walk in, I can have text capabilities where I'm texting when the table is ready. You will not find that natively in a POS. I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and I know a whole lot of POS out there. Haven't seen that involved in any. That some have third parties that you got to pay a lot of money to have. So that's a big selling feature. Even if it's not something they do now, they might want that in the future. Okay. Fine dining. Sometimes they like to do meal coursing. Hey, I want to ring up everything. Appetizer, salad, soup, whatever it might be, entree, dessert. Ring it all up right now. It can have timed holds on things and when it goes to the kitchen. They have QR code ordering. They do that extremely well. It comes included in their online ordering. So if they don't want devices because they're expensive and they're worried their staff's going to drop them, perfect. Why not have a QR code on every single table? They can always scan. They can scan right there with their phone. Boom, it pops up on the POS. Table 7 just ordered drinks and food. Drinks went to the bar. Food went to the kitchen. It's included in the online ordering. Some of our systems can charge $100 to $150 to add QR codes. Once again, great monthly price.
Perfect. All right, and next up, I think a couple more slides here, but all businesses, especially in the enterprise side, we need to make sure that we have good reporting. What are some of the reporting opportunities here? Well, all businesses, but enterprise, it even becomes that next step. Where does it fit into the reporting world here?
Well, they're known for their reporting, buddy. That's what's phenomenal about Mynt. So there are two main things I want everyone to focus on here when it comes to reports. Every POS has detailed reports. Okay, they should. Any full POS, absolutely, they've got 50 to 70 to 100 of their internal reports that you can click on. The two things that are different from Mynt, they do automated reports extremely well. I can adjust those at any time. I can make sure that my payroll is going to ADP or Paychecks or whatever every 2 weeks, Monday morning at 7 a.m. I can make sure that the owner of the franchise is getting the monthly sales report and it's gets sent to them every single month. So being able to customize those and send those wherever I want is huge. And then the key word, the number 2 here, customize. Mynt will actually work with the merchant and custom reports. Most POSs do not do that at all. They don't want to do it. They built all these reports for a reason so that they can cover pretty much everything. But if a merchant says, you know what, I do want to see not only my hourly sales, but combine that with my hourly staff levels, and I want to see that, and I break it down a week by week basis at my location number 3. Well, that might not be one of these reports at all. So they connect with the Mint team and the programmers, and they custom put that report together for them. Very unique in a POS system. So they do reporting extremely well. I think a lot of that has to do with them doing enterprising from the very beginning, and you have to have detailed reporting to do multi-location. But the fact that you can custom reports is very unique for a POS.
Awesome. And then I think we have a little franchise ready.
Hey, see, we've already been talking about it.
Yep, I know.
So this is a quick glimpse actually at what they can look like when they're doing like menu reviews and edits in the back office, and I can actually go by location. I can create a button and assign that to go out to certain locations. Or you know what? I just added something new and I want it to be this price for my Ohio stores, but my New York stores, we need to be a little higher. So I want to make sure I have that by site, by region. So they call it global menu management, which I like that. Sounds fancy. So they can go in and be able to adjust their entire either franchise or corporation by one login, one back office, all based on access. Okay. And then they can break that down and do all these individual store reportings. They can lump them together, group them together. They have reporting API available, once again, where they can custom things. And that's really where we get more in that custom reporting is in our smaller franchises. They find different fun stuff that they're like, you know what? It'd be great if I had X, Y, and Z report that I notice is not available. And then we'll do it for them.
And I think this is the last slide. It's still the digital menu boards.
Yeah, and this is more for QSR. We don't run into this very often. This is walk up, order pay at the counter. It's more fast food, drive-in, things like that. Mint is actually not supplying the digital menu boards. They would use their own boards, or they'd have suggestions on different sizes. But yes, it can tie directly in the POS. So when I update prices and items in the POS, it can automatically update on the digital menu board. This is our only system that can do that I've seen so far. So it's a unique ask. We don't get it too often, but it's very nice to know that Mint does have these capabilities.
Well, and these pop-up QSRs coming out of I went to a last when we were in California. When we were in Huntington Beach last September, I guess it was.
September.
Yeah, when I was in Huntington Beach, I walked up to a food truck, and they had a digital signage board tied to their POS, and I was like, but what they had was they had a rotating, and they also had it tied to their quantity, which I don't think Mint does, so that they could quickly take things off that digital signboard that was out instead of crossing it off the dry erase board, which is the typical way to do it at a food truck.
Smart
when you're in California.
That they had countdowns on the menu board too. Yeah. That's smart.
Yeah. So that's something that more and more people are using. And I guess we did have another slide here, the rear customer display that you can be an add-on to the systems. Anything?
Well, and they kept this up here because this is really important. A lot of people like the customer display, but there's one thing I want to point out and make sure no one is confused by. The 10-inch LCD screen, which is pretty much only what we sell. No one really wants the little 2x20 stand pull display. It's phenomenal. It can do some marketing on there and show like what the promotions are of the day and all that. It is not sign on the screen. I want to make sure everyone's very clear. This is not like Clover where you're flipping screens around and they're signing and putting a tip amount right there. It's not for that. It's to show the order, do some marketing, show the totals, cash, card, things like that, but we can't sign. Now that's something that they're working on, and I've been pushing them hard because I actually switched. That's one of my only cancellations I've ever had with Mint was switching a franchise that we didn't know this from the very beginning, wanted to have sign on the screen, and we had already got 2 of the locations up and going with Mint, and so I just switched them to another one of our systems that could do that. And we ended up using the Mint hardware anyway. They own some other locations. They're like, we love Mint. We'll just use it in our full service restaurants. So we need to know that right away if you guys are talking to QSR, if they want sign on the screen. If they do, it's not Mint. If they want tips to pop up, they can actually do it through the PAXS 300 where it can prompt them and they put in tips and that ties to the Mint. They just wouldn't be signing on the screen. So Always want to be transparent. Always want to be honest with you guys.
No, absolutely. And so it can say, if they want to say, will you, do you, or is everything correct on the screen? We're good. If you want to be able to say the words you want to sign on the screen, not good. So just make sure it all works out.
Normal. When I go to some of these places and I'm walking in, I'm not signing on their screen. I'm not going to McAllister's and they might have a customer display. It's there to show me to make sure they ring up my order right. That's it.
You just mentioned McAllister's. I haven't been to McAllister's in a long time, and I was disappointed to go back to McAllister's and realize that COVID has killed their pickle bar. It made me very sad. Another fall.
I haven't been there in years either. I not a huge fan. Not a huge fan.
I'm not. I just love pickles, and they were the place where you used to have like a little buffet of pickles and like a couple different flavors and a hot pickle and a sour and I was like, I'll order the smallest sandwich I could possibly order and just fill up on pickles. I loved it, but they took it away. COVID ended it. Sorry. Let me shed a tear for it.
A lot of good buffets out there just never made it back. It's just It's a shame.
All right, we have a couple questions. If you're watching live again, and if you've gotten this far, you've already heard me say you can ask questions. Keith's been jumping in there. He has a simple question: prices. He only said it once, just 2 question marks. And then Jeff Roten also asked just a little more clarification: if they have more than one location, would the second location be 39 or 49? So go just a general overview of questions, Matt, when it comes to basic for pricing.
Yeah, let's address Jeff's first. So, Jeff, if they have more than one location, they really need to be on enterprise software, so that way they're being smart business owners, going to see what's going on, can tie the two locations together, which would fall enterprise level 79 for the first and 59 each additional for multi-location. If for some crazy reason they just could care less about the two together, then sure, they could theoretically both be on the core plan, at $49 license and $39, but they would have no access to each location at all. So we'd really want them to be on the enterprise level. Pricing for hardware is not bad, Keith, but it's on a case-by-case basis. Obviously, once you submit the lead and we get, your merchant help and up and going with a demo, then my team will go through that with you. The price, the bundles range from $1,300 to $1,600, $1,800, for a full bundle. Printers and one-offs like that are normal $300-$400 prices. But remember, guys, we do discounts if you do edge pricing. So if you have a merchant doing edge pricing between 3.5% and 4.5% to the customer, they can qualify for edge discounts. It is based off volume. Okay, every 20 grand they do in credit card volume, we're going to give them a credit of $12.99 towards the hardware. Okay, and there's a limit of 4 of those, but that helps eliminate all this upfront cost. I can't tell you how many Mint people we signed up where they get 2 or 3 stations, a couple kitchen printers, and they're doing 65 grand. We see a statement, and they're switching to edge. Well, we're paying for almost all that hardware up front. They're paying for next to nothing, a few $100 for some shipping. So we want to help you with that with all edge merchants.
Perfect. I think that we haven't had a lot of other questions live today, but as I said, always, you can go to mypayprotect.com. In fact, let me bring up the live screen, and I need to switch off the slides there. If you go in, and I have typed in hot sauce, so I'm going to show, let's see a demo if it works. Type in Mint in this check, and you'll get all the Mint forms. You can also go to the regular POS section just to show everything that we've labeled Mint in our systems. The slides that we were just going over there were just there, a couple flyers, and I wrote a couple notes of some maybe new things that we'll put together about Mint to make sure you have the needs. And if you have suggestions of the stuff you may want to have there, we would love to do it. Let me see if I can make this work. Highlight as we close out. Now Matt close us out with some encouraging words from the POS Pros team. But if you go to Apple Podcasts or you go to Google Podcasts, and hopefully soon Spotify. I thought we were up and running there, but I just did a search. It's not quite there. But POS Uncensored is, you can go just describe the audio. You can listen to the sweet, sultry sounds of Matt Proctor in your ears, get it pushed to your local, any of your regular podcast catchers. And we also have to check when you do POS Uncensored, there is our old POS, and I didn't take it down. We have a former show with Mr. Robert Kramer and Mr. Matt Proctor we used to do called POS Uncensored. This is the new version. Look for this logo, and you can subscribe both to a video version and an audio version. I think the audio version is still, because we're coming up with the process of stripping the audio and doing both audio and video versions. But why wouldn't you want to look at this face every time and get the video version, right?
This scruffy gray man. So yeah, don't listen to all the old stuff. Who knows what content me and Kramer used to talk about, but we don't want to confuse anyone.
No, that actually, and I've thought about, I started listening to a couple of them because I could take it down, and I haven't. I just kind of like, hey, we'll hold by our old words, but it's old. I mean, I don't remember the exact days. I have to look it up. I think it's 4 or 5 years old now. And but I've thought about sometime in a future episodes, I'm going to take clips from old episodes, have us play and say what you think now that we're a little older and wiser. Maybe we'll just kind of go back there.
There's a lot less gray back then on some of those videos.
Well, those were all audio. I don't think we even did any video back then.
Oh, we didn't do heavy video?
I don't think we did. Remember we sat in my office on the couch and just did audio back then.
But it was all audio.
Yeah, it was all audio. I would take some video and use snippets occasionally, but we didn't have this capability. The tech wasn't there yet. Now we can be across the country and I can do this and make us look pretty. So
that's right. You get it all set up and we'd sit there and go through a full audio show, but yeah, no video.
And Laka says you're pretty, Matt. Don't worry, Matt.
My boy. My boy, Laka.
Well, closing words, as we've now covered how to use the POS Pros in episode 1, how to sell hot sauce POS in episode 2, and today we covered Mint. Closing words, Mr. Proctor?
POSlead.com.
There you go.
That's it, guys. It's that simple. Please, if you have any merchant interested, POSlead.com comes directly to myself and Morgan, excuse me, in my office. That gets this process started. Hey, we want to be able to jump in and help sell good POS systems that are the perfect fit for your merchant.
That's right.
You don't have to do anything.
And make sure, Go to POSlead.com. Make sure you are subscribed to POS Uncensored. At first, make sure, go to YouTube, click that subscribe button, ring that bell, and make sure you get every episode as it's coming. And you can watch us live if you're extra lucky. Then you can also get us on any of your podcast catchers, anywhere it's the audio and video versions. Thank you so much for watching and listening to POS Uncensored. For Matt Proctor, I'm Nate Manahan. We'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.